Well, both the minor league teams done for their action here today. Both of them losing, so they'll drop down to the losers bracket. Fatal Ambition versus Hype Unit Minor League tomorrow morning, and All Business and Cyclone also playing tomorrow morning. We pivot now back to the console league teams that were able to win yesterday. Flashpoint versus SSG in a matchup some seem to think will be pretty close. Dolson joined by Blue here on the desk. Bees. I said Blues. Bees here on the desk. Are you one of the people that are bought into the Flashpoint are going to take SSG to a really close set?
No, I like my boys SSG's chances here, to be honest. I know these guys are going from controller now over to keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's going to give them a larger advantage. But I don't know. My boys SSG, they're a good team. I can't take that away from them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the conversations that I've had surrounding this is that Prosper may be able to overpower Ares in some of these matchups. But I feel like if you look at the rest, and you don't even maybe need to look at the rest, I think Freeze God has the potential to just kind of take this set over. I think if he just kind of gets off the leash, that's enough to give them enough of an edge in this one.
Yeah, I hear the talks as well saying, oh, they'll just ban Eevee versus Freeze God.
Yeah,
but the naivety in that alone is saying, like, yeah, we'll just ban Eevee. Yeah, that's all Freeze God can play.
And you bring up kind of the picks and bans, the meta now starting to shift. We saw minor league matching up against the PPL team, still both PC metas. Now it's going to be an interesting swap where you look at the console league and, they highly prioritize Victor, Vivian, things of that nature. Picks and bans are going to have to pivot from them. If you are Flashpoint and you look at SSG, how do you maybe change up those picks and bans? Do you just kind of lean fully into that PC meta maybe? Ban out your Strix, ban out Makoa, Atlas, whoever's left up and available?
I'd like to think they've done enough research to say that they have a very firm understanding of the PC meta, and I think they have to. I don't think you can come into this and try and shake up the meta versus a high-end PPL team. I don't think that's a possibility. I do think you have to come in and play by their rules, to be honest.
No, I agree, and we brought up Freeze God, and you mentioned, does ban Eevee. I don't think I'm bought into that whole mindset. I think, okay, fine. We'll buy into that. Sure, maybe you ban out the Eevee. He's still got Maeve in his back pocket. He can play the direct damage, whether you put him on a Cassie or he'll pivot onto the Leon, whatever you need him to do. And I think that's kind of where this matchup maybe pivots for me. If somebody like Freeze God gets the Eevee, that's not going to be great. But he has the potential, I think, on any of the champions to really turn things around, and I'm not sure you can just ban this guy out.
Yeah, I think even when you're talking about Freeze God as well, if you do forcefully try to ban out Freeze God, you're giving the rest of the team so much potential to get the picks that they want as well.
Right.
Like, the tank players for this team are phenomenal as well. So
That's true.
If you spend so much energy trying to take out just Freeze God, you're going to give them, like, an Atlas, a Makoa, and they're going to steamroll over you just with them alone.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, Freeze God is one piece of a very strong 5 for SSG. You focus him. You got Rochelle and Sadak on the front line, who are very comfortable on a lot of very good frontline champions. Mitau, I think, a phenomenal healer. There's a reason these guys were really in that contention for just straight-up quarterfinal spot or having to play through this play-in bracket. And Flashpoint definitely have a tall task ahead of them. But let's maybe talk about Flashpoint. This one, has the makings of a very difficult set for them. In what world, and maybe what do you have to do to beat SSG?
I think that's
such a hard question.
Yeah, it's such a difficult question to answer, especially when we see these guys. They've come from such a phenomenally strong performance. Like, even up to yesterday, they've only now dropped one set. So they have that phenomenal scoreline. I think it just basically comes down to how well do they truly perform with the mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
If you put them on controllers, I don't think you have the question anymore.
Sure.
It comes down to, are they as proficient PC players as they are console players? And if they are, then maybe I am underestimating them the same way that they believe they're underestimating SSG, and maybe they can truly pull something out phenomenal.
And I think I'm on that thought process as well. And you could see kind of that long-range camera shot looking down the aisle. Prosper, the only one with controller in hand. But that's kind of the conversation I've been having with people back in the green room out in the lobby is we don't know just yet, really, because we have a tiny sample size of how good these guys are on mouse and keyboard. I mean, the game knowledge is obviously there. They're smart at the game, picks and bans, you know, maybe different, but something that we assume they'll understand. It's how can you adapt to the mouse and keyboard play style? Are you going to be on that same par? It's hard to say yes, but if they are, maybe you give them a fighting chance.
Yeah, I think as well, like, it's just something we haven't seen yet. It's one of the first tournaments where we're actually allowing everyone to just come in after you've gone through the console stages to just play on whatever you feel most comfortable with. So this is kind of the defining moment for us to see whether, because I'm not one of these people that thinks like the console play. I think console players are phenomenal.
I agree.
To play at this level at the disadvantage of the controller, like mechanically wise, is phenomenal. They are incredible players. Again, it's just if it transfers. And these guys have put in a lot of work. They've definitely put in the time to perfect this art. But we're talking about coming up against some of the top tiers of this art form.
Yeah, this is, you know, you look at SSG, a team that, one of the teams you can make an argument for maybe making a run through the World Championships. I agree, and I echo what you're saying. I think the controller, being able to play at the level they are, the mentality they have, the game knowledge they have is absolutely there. So I'm very excited to kind of see this pivot. I think Flashpoint, I mean, they have a fighter's chance in this one if they're able to kind of climb up, go to that next level.
For sure.
And don't forget, I mean, this is the winner's bracket round for them, so it's not all said and done here by the end of this one. We'll get a look here in just a moment at the map bans that we're going to be taking off of the board. Flashpoint, going to get rid of Frog Isle, with Timber Mill being taken out by SSG here to start off, as well as Ice Mines and Split Stone Quarry. Anything jump out at you in those map bans?
Again, we see the Frog Isle be taken out, which is a momentum-based map. That's kind of a good one for both teams, I guess, to have one. If you underestimate the console boys and they end up getting momentum on Frog Isle, that's an easy map win for them. And then vice versa as well. If SSG does prove to be slightly stronger than the console boys, then they get the momentum on that map, and it's an easy one. Timber Mill is an interesting one as well. I see, like, if they still have their DPS on a controller, and the DPS is then forced onto like a Strix or something, the SSG do get the EV. That's going to be really difficult for them to deal with. So, interesting maps.
And we kind of get an answer to our question just a little bit off the start of how maybe teams are going to pivot into this new, now kind of meshing of meta. Victor taken off the board first, and that is a heavy Freeze God emphasis there on the Flashpoint ban column, taking out both the Mave and the EV. For Shattered Desert. But as you mentioned, that leaves those very strong tanks up for grabs. SSG snagged themselves the Makoa. An interesting conversation has been between Makoa and Atlas. If the two are available, some teams love themselves Atlas, some teams love themselves Makoa. Do you like SSG going Makoa first?
I personally prefer the Makoa. I think his pick potential is very, very strong.
Sure.
The Atlas, whilst again, you can just argue either way for either one of the two of them. I just think Makoa just kind of has that consistency. He's been around for a very long time. He still remains to be top tier. And it's the question whether the Atlas is kind of starting to falter a little bit, whereas the Makoa stays strong.
Flashpoint have to consider maybe snagging that Atlas. We've seen some success of teams pairing Atlas with Makoa, but sometimes hasn't quite panned out in their favor. Vivian still being hovered, presumably for Prosper Logic, if they lock that one in.
See, this is precisely what I was talking about. They've gone for this ban-out Freeze God kind of composition with the Mave and the EV. And now they've been put into a position where they've been told, or been shown, to take the best pick available, the Atlas, and you can see them questioning themselves over it. There's very few teams that would look at that circumstance and be like, do we take Atlas or not? 99% of the time it's just, right, in stock Atlas, what's our second choice?
What's our second pick, sure.
But now they've just left available the Atlas and Makoa for SSG. On a map with Shattered Desert where the wall does phenomenal work with Atlas, and then you have the push potential on each side of the map as well with the two tanks. Will they go for the Atlas though as well? That's the question on the SSG side. Yeah.
Looks like they might. They're going to grab the Willow as well, pair it with the Atlas for their third pick. Not locked in yet, at least hovered, but it is locked in here and now. So they're going to get Makoa Atlas, and still I'm assuming leave Freeze God on the Willow. We'll have to see maybe what that last damage pick is for Leon. Cassie's two available picks for them. Ares, for a little while, hadn't really played a lot of Leon and then started playing it towards the end of last split. It was looking good for them. I think that's certainly still in their wheelhouse. Flashpoint looking for healer and off tank. They've already got some good point tank and then a comfort pick for Prosper Logic in the Vivian. They're going to snag Furia and maybe the Khan. But again, you have to look back. The PC meta power picks between Makoa, Willow, and Atlas, all 3 on the board here for SSG.
Yeah, phenomenal picks. The Willow especially into the Vivian as well. One of the things that gives Vivian most of her survivability is the fact that she has a small shield that she can use for herself. But Willow damage pretty much negates that shield because of the blast aura of the shots, which you normally aim towards the ground anyway.
Right.
You're not aiming towards the top end of the Vivian, you're aiming at the feet regardless. So they've kind of given them what some would argue the best damage champion in the game at the moment into a damage champion that doesn't really survive well against it. The DR reduction, you just flutter in, the Vivian won't kill you in time, and you potentially you're going to kill the Vivian fast, especially with the aggressive tanks on your side as well.
Sure. I don't know. Yeah, I'm scared of what SSG have drafted here, and I mean probably for good reason. In any of the drafts we've seen up to this point today, or really this week or this season, maybe we see one of the 3. If there's 2 in the game, they're usually on different teams. Here, SSG have 3 of the top priority picks on their side, and Io to back them up. It brings up the aggression. Let's leave Luna back on the point, send everyone forward, get some good aggression from Willow and Cassie as well.
I did want to bring up the IO earlier. As soon as they got the 2 tanks, I did think potentially Flashpoint would take it from them because they've essentially given them 3 point capture with 2 insanely aggressive tanks to just force you out so you can't kill the Luna on the point.
Right.
Especially on this map, Shattered Desert, you want to control both the sides of the points where you can easily push through with these 2 tanks and they just get the free cap. The Talos coming through is very interesting. We've not seen a PPL team have to come up against Atlas this entire season. Oh, I meant Talos, sorry.
They're going to hit you with a last minute
But they're going to
pivot.
flip-flop on me and go for the Lian instead.
That's
Still
so
a phenomenal pick. Really good choice to come out.
Do you think
Really
that helps them against Willow at all?
Yeah, most definitely. Especially the Willow ult as well. They kind of didn't really have anything to shut down Willow ult until this point, and now they have a substantial burst amount to get rid of the Willow when they need to.
Yeah, I think, all things considered, Flashpoint have at least kept themselves in that conversation. SSG, 3 huge power picks, though, for them on their side. All the experts say SSG, Flashpoint with something left to prove. Game 1, let's see how it plays out.
Well, I'm going to open up my few statements with yikes. I mean, you see Makoa, Willow, Atlas, Io, Cassie.
Yeah, that's the bans, right?
That's yeah, right.
Makoa,
that's what I
Willow,
thought.
Atlas, those are you ban them first.
That's what I thought. But no,
I'm just not going to look at the screen
they're being
live
picked.
in my fantasy world.
That's absolutely insane to me. I mean, it's Flashpoint versus SSG. I understand the meta's different, but
I'm going to give a little bit of credence to Flashpoint.
okay.
I have actually seen Makoa Atlas on the same team lose more than win.
True.
And I've seen SSG do admittedly worse with Willow than with Eevee or Mage on their team. So if you're looking at it, I want to say maybe pure stats-wise, I can find an argument for it. Now, if you look at it as recommendation-wise, no. I can't tell you at any point in time that this is something I would say, yes, that's a good idea to do. It's an interesting draft. We'll have to see if SSG... Let me rephrase that. Let's just see if Flashpoint can make it work.
Yeah.
SSG's is going to kind of work for them. I can't think of much scarier than Freeze God on the best blaster in the game and Sadak on Makoa.
Well, I mean, once again, these guys look great on paper. So, I mean, I guess it's just a matter of what it comes down to. I mean, like Dave was saying, Flashpoint with something to prove. All of the experts say SSG. I mean, SSG is absolutely a phenomenal team. Had a rough split against against more of the top teams, but they were looking great towards the end of the split. I mean, this is something definitely, if I were Flashpoint, something to be afraid of for sure.
And not as any slight to Flashpoint, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, playing Na'Vi and NIP and Virtus Pro, much different in this instance, right? So this is going to be maybe a little bit more showing of the power they have. Plus, double elimination brackets are so good for SSG.
They're already in the back line, applying pressure to the back line of Flashpoint. They have to back off. Makoa actually got really, really low, but look at the control they already have. But the percentage is still building in terms of Flashpoint, despite how much they're actually putting on the pressure. The ceilings go out, so much damage. They're not even worried about the point. They're literally just attacking everything around it and then honing in directly onto it. Flashpoint have 21%, but at what cost? Look at it. 33% for SSG, and they just got onto the point.
And that 33%, now 45%, they don't have to stand on the objective for it.
Exactly.
Mitao is going to be the furthest back for it. I think Ares might match him in kind of latitude on the map. But for the rest of them, you have Sadak, you have Rachao getting aggressive, you have Freeze God kind of being a turret on the back of Sadak right now. Any pull should become an instant kill here. Rachao, well, I was going to say is looking low, but even that's not enough to kill him out all the way.
Yeah, I mean, they are able to take care of him, but not before 2 more teammates on Flashpoint get dropped, followed by a 3rd and a 4th. My goodness. Good Lad's one of the only ones remaining. Shell spin right onto him to knock him away and make sure they can actually confirm that kill. And the first 2 deaths on SSG are both Mintal and Rachao. Not so great for Flashpoint already. Most of them with pretty negative slash line. Prosper with the only 2 kills on their team. But my goodness, man, already a hook to start things off and a dead zone drop directly on a Legacy. He's already below half health.
Say, an interesting draft.
Yeah.
Choice from Flashpoint.
Oh, man.
And I'm trying to see where it works, and I think the answer was in the console. There were a lot of unbanned Makoas, unbanned Atlases throughout the PCL this year. Atlas got to the point where he was a top ban. And this, I think, is the lesson of if you don't pick one,
take the other.
You need to take the other when you're second pick, because otherwise, this is going to happen to you. I'm trying to figure out how they fight back. That's where my brain is at. And I'm
I understand.
Not really finding a way.
It's okay, Gordon. No, I completely, I'm trying to find something to say, because my goodness, dude, the Inflame gets used as their second chance. The Begone comes out. They're going to be able to take care of Rachao. That's their opening that they needed, or at least that's how so far it seems. They're going to have to back off, give them more and more respect as time is going on, and FRZ is just free firing right now. I mean, once again, dude, this comp is just so strong. You pair that with an IO, and it's already so... It's looking so good for SSG, but a good Fire Strike directly on a Sadak, but he's going to have to back off. With a minute still left on the clock, SSG can make it back.
They don't really lose that much ground for the amount of time. I mean, you burn maybe 20 seconds there. If you're Flashpoint, you push them back. You force a little bit of respawns, but you don't get enough kills to buy you more time than that. There's a minute left. They could walk back in. 40 seconds now, and they still have the amount of pressure they need. I do like the fact that Flashpoint have kind of opted into Bulldozer early to try and help deal with Luna. But that's not going to help them here too much. They're going to need a little bit more. They find Rachao, which is a good starting point.
Yeah, they actually are able to take care of Ares as well. Okay, the defense is starting to look good in terms of Flashpoint, and Legacy is going to be able to go down, but not before they trade out each other's lives. FRZ and Legacy both down on either team right now. 15 seconds left. And a very, very good defense from Flashpoint, man. I mean, they're looking good now, but it's a matter of how are they going to try and defend as the game is closing out. So Doc's probably going to try and shell spin right onto that point, use the Beyond the Veil buff, but a good wall is going to keep him away from it. But Luna is contesting because the payload moved back, so it actually is now in contesting range of Luna. So they have the overtime.
Going to be able to find some good shots as well. They have all of their ults available to them if they need them on the side of SSG. Right now, it's looking like they might not need him. Freeze God's doing enough damage on his own.
Yeah, he is, but he's able to swap targets. But Skeppy already with 2 kills, and now the Enlightenment comes out as well. Going to be able to dodge right out of the way. They're on top of Mintal. They're going to be able to defend. They've gotten these kills, and that is looking good for Flashpoint already. Yeah. That is the breath that they needed. Finally, we actually have a chance to try and play the game now.
Just exhale. Keep your wits about you. Don't worry too much about it. This is a good defense from them. Although, it feels like it falls on 2 fronts. SSG did not want to use ults too much there. Although, this one worked out well for them. Towards the end, they held on to everything. The right call to make at the end of a round there. Used Exiles. You can ignore those. They don't matter as much around the point fight. There's probably now going to be some really clutch moment where only Exile could be useful. But for the most part, that ult is helpful but not pertinent. You don't have to have it to make it work. Same thing can be said of the Enlightenment there for Skeppy. But I need a little more. I think Skeppy, this 7 streak, it's a good thing to have got it burning, but he needs to keep it going. He started playing well towards the end of the last round. I need to see that translate to now.
Oh, there we go. The hook actually goes directly on a Skeppy, and you mentioned his name, and he's the one they're actually going to end up focusing. Now they swap targets all the way to Fury. A Storm Avatar is going to go down. The Flutter once again. The ceilings go out, but actually it's going to be able to get that kill. They took care of it, and now Mintal and the rest of them are just on point. They are able to get the stun on the Rachao, but a good hook is going to be able to peel for him. Luna is right close by. They use the Ancient Rage, and now they're just running down Legacy, but Rachao's going to go down, but still, too much health on Makoa is going to be hard for him to live, but good overpower.
Gets rid of Ares, keeps them going forward with Sadak standing on the objective. Luna as well. It's 51-30. Flashpoint have the advantage, and actually with that kill onto Ares, they open up a lot more room than I think you would expect. Playing pretty well right now. The Furia keeping them alive and well. And that Inflame making sure they stay stable. Already at 40% one more time. Could be more than enough to end this fight at 99-99 if SSG keep it up.
Percentage goes out. Rachao looking pretty low. Gonna have to use that rewind to get himself some health back, as well as a healing from Mitao. But Rachao goes down again. Has been dying quite a few times so far, and now they're able to stand on the point. 51% for him. Sadat gets the hook, but still he's already looking pretty low. They're gonna have to try and group up. The Begone goes out. It's gonna be able to hit Storm Avatar, but it hits a wall immediately after that. He was able to touch FRZ God in that case, but still, Ares has to drop directly onto the point. He's able to get the kill. FRZ's God is opening it up, and he's just sitting on it. The Divider goes out to peel for him, and Luna's already back. She's on the point as well, and able to build percentage. It was going to be a point capture for Flashpoint, but now look at what is being provided right now. They have to use the Inflame to peel back to make sure they don't die, but Storm Avatar still goes down.
That reload was just enough to save his life for a little bit, and then finally, like you said, going down 99-93. They're looking to burn down Luna. They have people around the point, but right now, this Inara just looking too low.
Yeah, I mean, there are 3 of the Nullers stacking on the point right now. Actually just moves directly out of the way of the Enlightenment, and that's going to keep him alive for just a little bit longer. They're still on the point. Legacy's looking really, really low, and FRZ is able to finish that off. Another point capture for SSG. What looked like a beginning for Flashpoint now turned itself into a point conversion for SSG.
Well fought by Flashpoint all around. A lot of ults thrown out, though, and admittedly, I've noticed every time I look up, that Inflame is on cooldown because that is what's keeping them afloat more than pretty much anything else they're doing. Skeppy, unfortunate for him, got caught out a few times by Freeze God there. And that hasn't necessarily been the thing that seals the deal, but it's been hurting them more than helping. He hasn't been winning the trades. Him versus Willow for Flashpoint, they need him to win these trades off. They need Freeze God to go down just to assist to help these tanks get aggressive. Otherwise, they actually have a pretty solid composition to deal with SSG.
Yeah, and it's a matter of if they can execute that in a way that could end up netting them a win or even a point capture at this point. I mean, they were able to defend. You already see the Bulldozer 2s, Bulldozer 1, even a Storm Avatar, Bulldozer 2 for Prosper Logic. I mean, does anything stand out here to you? Does it seem pretty much standard for everybody so far?
3 people having Bulldozer screams a little loud to me. It's also interesting to notice Mitao having Haven just to kind of keep himself alive. There's a lot of direct damage. In fact, almost only, and by almost, I mean only direct damage from Flashpoint. It's going to help him stay alive a lot longer. 1,900 credits right now, so he's probably going to be able to get the tier 3 once he goes down. He's got a 9 streak going. The item's helping him out a lot.
The Inflame comes out as well. Speaking of help, that will be so much help for Flashpoint to be able to try and defend. They're actually getting a little bit more aggressive. Rachao eating a lot of damage, but Skeppy has to back off, slides right out of there. And of course, they are still able to hold their ground. Rounding this corner is really hard for them, but Ares found that opening with how low Legacy was. He did not back up in time. You already see that Sadak already slid right in there. FRZ also coming on the side too. They're going to be able to take care of 2 of them in that very brief moment. Now they swap targets to Good Lad. Ares flops all the way back around, able to actually help out Sadak right on the side right there, but a good exile onto them, able to get 2 of them. He's staring down Storm Avatar, and now they're able to just focus and swap to whoever they need to. Good double kill from Ares.
And it's a couple of good shots. Mistimed a little bit after the exile, but it doesn't matter. He's burning through anyone and everyone that's in his way.
Yeah, I mean, Good Lad is able to actually battle shout his way on the point, but literally a hook, a displacement is going to be able to force Khan away and allow them to capture that point.
You know, I have harped on Ares a lot throughout the regular season. There have been games, admittedly, where he deserved it. But I think it is also worth pointing out he's having a pretty phenomenal game here so far. A lot of the deaths he's had have been isolated. Like, he has been picked off specifically for what he has been able to provide for the team. And between him and Freeze God has the easier game here. Once Skeppy is gone, nobody's going to touch Freeze up in the air. No Faith Flight coming into this round, though, so maybe he's a little bit easier of a target there for Skeppy. Try and burn down. Bulldozer still ringing true. Cauterize not caught up to it, although with Good Lad at 3, Skeppy now at 3 as he leaves the base with it. It's going to start hurting Mitao a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, really going to come down to these very few beginning fights, and 11% for them. Comeback mechanic available for Flashpoint. A good hook on a Good Lad, though, but the shield goes up, gets dropped down, able to shield a bunch of targets, but still, Good Lad's going to be the only one that's going to end up going down. 21% for SSG. Aries gets taken care of, but still, look at the aggression and the pressure that SSG are able to exude with Luna just sitting there like a good girl should.
And it's moments like this where it really does come down to what you're getting for what you've got. And yeah, you got a kill. That was great. You might even get another right here, but it's 69-11 with Legacy just now starting to contest a little bit. Unfortunately, there goes Luna. Well, as you said, the good girl sitting down a little bit longer this time around. As Aries gets pushed back with comeback mechanic, that might be Flashpoint's point.
Yeah, that might actually be their chance to capture something. And FRZ is actually on the side. You actually hear the Fate Flight go out. He's actually having to back up a little bit and locked in that one-on-one with Vivian. And he still is able to get the shot, still able to trade out his life. And they just made it back to point, I believe. Or not, actually. It just was too much for the comeback mechanic to be present. They were able to capture that point. Now Midtown is going to go down. Sadak is able to find a kill, but Skeppy with a double. Now they're swapping targets directly on a Sadak. The shield goes down, but Sadak does as well. 2 minutes and 10 seconds for Flashpoint with 2 ultimates up as well.
I am surprised with Flashpoint, but also not. And for so many different reasons. One is they are a good team, right? It's not something too out of the ordinary. But the problem is that SSG, like, this is a strong draft, but a weak draft.
Right.
They have no main point tank. If they had Barrack instead of Atlas or Barrack instead of Makoa, I think they would not have lost 2 points in this. I think they'd be still pushing forward. It's the fact that Rachao, more than anything, is getting bullied. It's a weak point for them. They grab the Atlas because, admittedly, when you're in the draft, you kind of have to, right? You're just like, we don't want to give them both. We have the opportunity to get them. They're both power tanks. But if you make that change, I think they win the game a lot harder. And that, to me, more than anything, means that it's a daunting set if you're looking at Flashpoint, right? For game one, yeah, you were able to stabilize. You were able to find some points here on Shattered Desert. It's a very brawly kind of map. You controlled the objective pretty well in some of these scenarios, but you had comeback mechanic for them, or you found a defense. What do you do when SSG get something they're super comfortable with? And that's kind of where I think the question will lie for me, unless Flashpoint completely turn this around and decimate SSG for the rest of the game, in which case I'll start wondering more about SSG.
Right. I mean, Aries has to back off, though. It's actually really, really low, but Midtown able to provide that healing. And as a result, we already see that Skeppy and the rest of Flashpoint able to try and make their rounds. But we already see Anara Legacy all the way in the back. He's currently sitting on the point. They might have to actually peel back. They're more likely going to turn around, but they're still able to just focus down on who's directly in front of them. They're trying to keep the rest of them zoned off. Or do they not? Okay, now they realize. I was about to say, yeah, I was like, there's no way that Anara, of all people, are going to be able to push that all the way back. They drop Luna directly on point to pretty much just contest it, make sure it doesn't move any more forward. But still, it's treading along slowly, but they realize that Legacy is back there. They're actually falling back and able to capitalize on that. But they're really low. They got shot in the back a lot. And Sadak actually ends up going down. They take care of him, and now with the Inflame at their backs, they can move in. They get rid of Aries. They have a double kill for Skeppy. Now you're looking at Rachao once again. He's stuck around that corner. 0 seconds left, and overtime is now up on the board.
And the shots, the angles, they're looking good. There's going to be the wall to help block and alleviate some of the pressure from the bullets that are going to come down. There's a nice hook to keep things going forward. Tank's still alive, and it's going to be SSG that are falling, not Flashpoint.
Yep, I mean, it is looking really, really rough for them as like already. I mean, Legacy goes down, which is good. They get rid of the Proctology, even better. Now they're focusing on Good Lad. They don't take care of him because Skeppy is able to get that Enlightenment kill. They're focusing on him. Rachai has to rewind. It's going to let him already push it in, and now we're at a 3-3. But look at SSG. They didn't want to use their ultimates. They have all 5 available, so that's going to be huge coming into this fight.
I'm going to go off on a huge aside here.
Okay.
That is relevant, but it's relevant to the whole thing. If this is the level that we're seeing out of all business with 2 subs, that we're seeing out of Flashpoint for a crossplay LAN, I mean, just 3-3 against SSG. You tell me a year ago that a console team's going to be able to push SSG to 3-3,
Right.
I'd laugh in your face.
Right.
Because then it's unbelievable. Not something that could ever happen.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good LAN.
Yes, 100%.
That is all I can think right now, is how amazing these teams are showing up in some of these scenarios. Not enough to make me sold, I guess, on
Right.
Flashpoint just yet. But damn if Skeppy's not impressive right now.
Yeah, it is looking absolutely phenomenal for them. A good hook on the Legacy to try to open things up. Luna gets dropped directly on point, and now they're able to pretty much win on these sides. There's no comeback mechanic for Flashpoint. You hear the Exile and the Faithflight actually come out. Now FRZ is just firing at so many different people, so many different angles. Sadak is just eating shots right now, and they have to use the Inflame to make sure he stays alive. They just got it back, and Sadak is able to be healed up just for a little bit longer. Seismic Crash comes out as well, but no conversions onto Sadak. 63% for SSG. Now look at what's happening. They flipped the script. Good Lad is dead, so is Prosper. Legacy, the only one on point, gets knocked back for a little bit. The alignment comes out, but Storm Avatar with a double. Skeppy with one, and this is looking so close.
I mean, a couple of good kills. They get rid of Ares. It's 66, soon enough to 57 here. As Flashpoint are going to match that 66 and push past it. They have some ults ready. They have an overpower. That's good enough for a kill. They might be able to win off this.
They actually might be able to. He's going to have to use Ancient Rage or something to try and do something, but they stepped off of the point. They actually stepped off of the point for a very brief moment, which allowed them not to cap it. They're trying to capitalize on the back, but they got rid of Skeppy and Prosper. What do you do now? They stepped off of the point. By doing that, you just gave them a chance. They're back on it, but the overtime is still there. They're going to be able to swap targets, focus on Legacy that are just on the back line. They're focusing down Storm Avatar. He's not dead yet, but he's still being pressured. How is he not dead yet? He's dead now. Sadak is going to go down, but not before he takes care of their healer. The Enlightenment comes out as well. Rachao goes down, but they're on point with nobody to touch. And SSG, my goodness, dude, that was a good game.
There's
that
a
was
moment
great.
in all of that where Legacy wasn't on the objective.
Yeah.
And if you count up the ticks that
Yeah.
he wasn't there, all of a sudden they win. I mean,
Yeah.
they got to 99 pre-SSG being able to touch. They were winning the fight when they hit 99. It comes down to the fact that he wasn't there at, I think, I would argue, a crucial moment. And they didn't have anyone taking the objective. Maybe him not being there helps them stay in that fight longer.
Yeah.
But there's something going on around the objective, or I guess actually nothing going
Right.
on around the objective where something needed to be happening. And that could have won them the game.
SSG, though, I mean, scraping a win against Flashpoint, I mean,
It's
that
great.
sounds good. That's exactly, that's the wording I chose to use because that was absolutely phenomenal from Flashpoint. 3-3, 99% on both sides, but we're still not done with what could be an amazing set yet. Tune in right after this break.
Well, Halloween was last week, but maybe some carryover spooks here for SSG. That one goes 7 points. And not something I would have expected to say after game one. If nothing else, hats off to Flashpoint because, you know, all things considered, in B's, we talked about it, you give up Makoa, Atlas, Willow to SSG, there's no chance that goes 7. But
wasn't even close.
Flashpoint bring it, not even
Wasn't even close. Don't know what you're talking about, my man. Wasn't even close.
We weren't worried about it at all
No.
back there for a second. You're right. It was free and clear. We did see moments, though, where Flashpoint brought it. I mean, they won mid-fights. They got successful caps. You'll see in the post-game stats, by and large, a close game. I think Storm Avatar, healing-wise, kept up with Mid-Tau. Some big offensive kills there for him as well. Strictly looking at the damage numbers, everything's pretty close. The kind of big outlier, if you look at both teams, you have 24, 11, and 14 for Freeze God, and then 19, 11, and 16 for Skeppy. I think had a great game, and we were a little mistaken. We were kind of looking at the handheld shots. I think there's only 1 or 2 players on Flashpoint actually on the mouse and keyboard. So I think all things considered, very close game there from them. But at the end of the day, a little bit cleaner team fighting at the end for SSG.
Yeah, they actually played phenomenal. Like,
I agree.
All credit to these guys. They played absolutely out of their minds. The one thing I will say, though, is we did just play on a very flat map, a very horizontal map.
Sure.
So when you go into maps that maybe have a little bit more verticality to it, and we see these characters like Leanne and the Vivian who have to aim a little bit more omnidirectional, is that going to start to falter for them? A lot of the damage coming through with the Vivian is just horizontal, playing across, just tracking someone on a single plane. So if there's high ground advantage, is it going to start to change things into the advantage of the PC players? But these boys played phenomenal. I'm so impressed by this game. The mechanical skills that they brought out were top tier.
Agreed. Very impressed. Towards the end there, looked like SSG were just going to run away with it. Storm Avatar comes in, double kill. That was back and forth right until the end. So I agree. SSG grabbed the win, but I think my mentality coming out of that is not that SSG looked great, but that Flashpoint actually looked good. They didn't get the win, but I did not expect that one to be that close. I agree with your point. Maybe different maps start to change up the meta a little bit. Freeze God, now you have to kind of look at that. You ban out 2 of Freeze God's champions, and he goes 23-11 anyway.
Yeah.
At some point, do you maybe consider not doing that? I don't know. The Eevee may have been even scarier than the Willow in this case. Bright Marsh on the table here.
I think the difference is that the Eevee has the up and down constantly. With the Willow, she's only in the air when she has her ultimate. And again, when she's in the air, she's not really going up and down. So once you have that line of sight above you, you still only have to track side to side. But the Eevee is the consistently, and same with Maeve, consistently up, down. So the point of attack just changes constantly, and I think that's what they're going to struggle coming up against. So whilst we did say negatively initially with the Eevee Maeve bans, it could have actually been a really good idea.
Sure. And they're going to stick with the Eevee, but not the Maeve. So that one's still open. Strix Vivian banned out by SSG. Willow is the second ban for Flashpoint. They're going to grab themselves Makoa this time. A little bit too much to give away both him and Atlas. SSG though could be free and clear. All things considered, Rochelle on that Atlas did not have a standout game. The KDA kind of escapes me, but it was 2 and 14 somewhere in that region on the Atlas. It wasn't necessarily a standout performance on the Atlas. You really leaned on Ares to have big damage numbers and Freeze God to have 23 kills in that one to kind of push you over the finish line. Atlas is still available for them.
It'll be interesting to see now whether SSG flip the script and do the same thing and allow Flashpoint now to have both of the aggressive tanks, because if you're having a bad game when you have the Makoa, which is the phenomenal next carry tank, do you want then to have the less strength and without the boost behind you kind of thing? We do see the Atlas come through though, and I would like to see the Khan come out here though, because the Khan is a phenomenal pick at the moment.
Does this maybe lend itself to an IO pick for SSG? Do you think that's maybe the route they're looking to go here?
Bright Marsh, definitely we could see another IO pick coming through. She's really good at healing through sustainable compositions that come through on the enemy side, which we like to see on Bright Marsh with the Grox and other things coming through. And again, it does give those 2 aggressive tanks the opportunity to constantly know they can aggress while still having safe capture on the point.
Yep, and I think Flashpoint probably agree with you there, realizing if I was left up, SSG are going to get that maybe to pair with the Atlas and Khan, and a great combo, a great trio of champions there. Vivian is banned out, as mentioned, from SSG. Victor still on the table. Prosper or Skeppy, both could play both of those champions. IO now maybe being pivoted away from for the Inara.
Let's get this.
Flashpoint are a team, they love kind of that Victor-Leon combo. I mean, if that's there, don't count that out. I think Prosper and Skeppy are both okay on either of those 2 champions, maybe to mitigate something for Freeze God.
I do like seeing the Victor pick come out. The Victor does really well into the Makoa because of the headshot damage that he gets. Like, let's say, for example, the Makoa ults, he misses the hook onto the Victor, just in a circumstance. That headshot damage then onto Makoa is phenomenal. And at the same time, the Victor with Wrecker absolutely demolishes Khan shields. Furthermore, if they do go for this triple composition, the triple tank composition, SSG is currently hovering at the moment. Again, the Victor does really well into that because of the amount of Wrecker value that he will get. They are maybe opting to go towards the Maeve, though, instead. And as I said, if the DPS is playing on controller and the Maeve manages to get behind them, by the time they turn around, the Maeve's going to be able to dash back to the other side again, and it should be quite an easy kill for the Maeve here onto the Victor.
And I think we saw one or two examples, like great examples of that at the MSI tournament, where during the first couple of rounds, the minor league teams matched up with a few of the console teams, and once or twice you could see a deep diving Maeve or an Eevee flying around. It's very hard to track, and that kind of lends itself to what you're talking about. Shattered Desert, a lot of in front of you damage, not too much verticality there, so they're going to grab Maeve. Ares can play Maeve, but at this point, I'm assuming that's for Freeze God.
Yeah, we'll probably see something a little more like general hit scan coming out now for Ares, either in the Cassie or maybe in the Lian, since Flashpoint have currently not opted to pick it up. The Talus is really nice coming into the two aggressive tanks to kind of shut them down as fast as possible. Again, if they end up having a lot of Wrecker on either one of the Victor or the Talus, it's going to hurt the Khan a lot. But I don't think the Talus is going to be super strong coming up into a high caliber team like SSG. I think they're going to have Talus's number and be able to shut him down quite substantially.
Do you think that this is as lopsided of a draft as we saw in Shattered Desert? Flashpoint kept themselves in the conversation this time?
Definitely last round SSG's draft looked a little bit stronger, but I still would weigh more towards SSG. But we've not seen Talus really in PPL in so long that it's hard to say how we're going to see the Talus compare versus a PPL team. I don't know. Maybe they pull something out again.
It is rarely let through in console and never even worried about in the PC meta. It's got to be something SSG have maybe considered coming into these matchups, knowing you're going against console teams, not something we're used to playing against, something they seem to think is very good. We're going to get a look at it here in game number 2. Flashpoint, a great showing in game 1. Let's see if they can do it again.
I actually have a question for you, Gore. Why do you think they didn't go for a point tank again? They have a double off tank situation as before. What are they trying to do?
Khan can hover in between, right? That's one of the good things about him. And on Bright Marsh, while it might be more helpful to have someone maybe main tanking like a Barrack, I think they're banking on some aggression. It also will alleviate maybe some stress from the other side. It helps deal with Makoa to deal more damage just in general. You can burn down the Inara, maybe burn down the Moldamba a little bit as well. He's gone Storm of Bullets, so, I mean, gonna have to pull back some old nomenclature. Fat Victor gonna be joining the game here. And if you hit some good headshots on the side of SSG, it's a lot of good damage from the Khan.
Yeah, it is going to be. We already see that Ares is already on the side, trying to open up some kills or damage onto this Talus. Got to back off immediately. Uses that route of travel to reset it, as that was the talent he was taking. It was inner strength, but 18% to 18%. Regardless, and Good Lads is going to go down first. That big game damage, a little bit too much. It's a Doc holding these side lanes is doing extremely well. So are the rest of SSG. Already the percentage building on their side. They have yet to be able to touch their action. Just going to try and converge on the Sadak. He's going to be able to get that kill, use the rune to come back and reset that cooldown. Trying to go back in. The daggers come out, but Skeppy is still looking pretty good with 24% for Flashpoint. Now they could actually have this momentum.
And I'm going to give Skeppy a lot of credit. A lot of last game that kept Flashpoint afloat was his Leon. I'm very excited to see what more he can do with this. A lot of PPL teams have forgotten, but Talus shreds health bars just for free in a lot of these cases. Freeze God catches him out that time around, and at least makes him remember that it's not always going to be an easy matchup.
Yeah, I mean, already the targets have been swapped. He's already keeping that Makoa at bay with how low he was, just running him down. With how close together this map is, it's definitely paying off, especially with this Alice once again. Just too strong of a character in FRC. Watching on the side with Sadak. Skeppy's going to try and go in. The Inflame is actually at their back. They know they were trying to come in, but Skeppy might actually be getting a little bit too aggressive in this case. They both were really low. They used the scout to make sure they could see all who might be trying to push in, but the first point will go to SSG on Brightmark.
Being able to set him up for success. A nice opening. Ares going up and over the walls looking for Prosper. And that, I think, is one of the big distinct differences that has been coming through. Now they're on, I don't want to say something more consistent, but SSG as a whole don't play well with two kind of backlines. Like Willow plus Cassie from last game, you're both trying to do as much damage, but FreezeGod either likes to play one style or the other, right? And when they have him sitting back on the Cassie like this, finding very, very good shots, they need Ares to go in and play Distraction Factor. It opens the door for him to just excel, and you can see a 6-streak burning for FreezeGod. It's helping him out.
You already see that the pressure is coming through on SSG's side with 2 ultimates. Well, really 3 of them with the scout, including the barrage comes out as well. FreezeGod has to get away from that window, but they're going to be able to take care of Midtown. They don't have a healer anymore, so Doc's going to go down next. They were already pretty low. They're going to have to back up, but they still got 1 minute and 30 still left and available up on the clock. They got rid of FRZ as well as Richao, managing to pick him off. There he's just going to be able to jump right off of the side right there. 3 ultimates up for SSG once again. Inflame almost there, but Flashpoint have Ancient Rage as well as the Talisman.
Keeps them somewhat alive. Talisult, not necessarily big on Bright Marsh. In fact, the only thing I can think of for it, isolating FreezeGod could be really good in the middle of a mid-fight. Maybe going for dismounts in their base, throw Rune of Travel down, launch over to them, do whatever you can, and then Rune of Travel back out. But it's not really going to be useful. The map's pretty short, so it's pretty easy to cross the distance you might need. He's going to be using it more or less for targeted picks.
Reverse coming out from Sadak, but Prosper, man, able to pick up and clean up a lot of these kills. 35 seconds left. They're able to just pretty much keep firing bullets all the way into SSG. They've got 4 ultimates up there, holding on to them for quite a considerable amount of time. I believe they're trying to push without actually using any of them. Prosper's gonna have to back up, tosses a grenade around the corner, just make sure he either gets any dismounts or some damage. But 15 seconds still left with the Inflame at his back as well.
And that's going to be real good. Those are nice connecting shots. Sadak is the one who gets the kill, but Freeze is the one who sets it up. That Slither not going to find Storm Avatar anywhere useful. And they're looking to go into overtime with a 3-man, 4-man lead.
The rewind already gets used. You've got 1 ultimate that was used for the Inflame. They just clean house right now. Prosper is unable to push out at all. And SSG making sure they can push this one in for the win with a clean 2-0 against Flashpoint.
This is where I think things need to shape up if you're Flashpoint. I think going down 3-0 doesn't bode as well as last time, coming in 1-1, going to 3-3. Shattered definitely helped him out. I think the draft from SSG, maybe not being the best at playing just pure objective capture on Shattered, helped him out. And I want to see him not need any help. I want to see them come through right now with something big. Prosper's 5-3-2, top damage. More or less what you expect out of him when he's on Victor. You need a little bit more. Well, we're going to call him out. Talus.
Yeah.
What you got?
Well, I mean, he's got Cauterize 1 and Wrecker 1. Do you think that's something, Gore?
That, the economy's not helping Talus out. He's feeling pretty broke right now. That is not a good itemization to be coming into round 2 with.
11% for Flashpoint already. And the first kill is going to be opened up right on the Prosper. They use the Dread Serpent to try and peel for the rest of the team that's in the back line. They're able to get the kill on the Ares, but already the damage is just coming out onto Goodlad. It's just so impossible for him to try and find that opening. They're just able to run him down, take care of him. 27% to 39 though on Flashpoint. They have the percentage lead, but now SSG are able to sit on point and get what they might need to.
As long as they take the lead, SSG still have the overpower. And they're about to have an Inflame. Going for the pick onto Midtown. Might be good to be able to find it. Shreds a lot of health.
Ooh.
But Richao was there and ready to help.
Yeah, gets killed almost immediately as soon as the ultimate flies through. 50% to 60. Now they're just trying to open fire. The time the crash goes out, a good hook directly on a Sadak, but the Inflame actually is used as well. 78%, the wall goes up to keep himself alive for a little bit longer, but Goodlad's gonna go down, followed by Legacy, and now you have an 85%, along with the followed up overpower to 66% for SSG. Now they are able to get their zone and potentially get their percentage and potentially get a point capture.
I'm glad they used the overpower. I was kind of getting nervous about it. It was just like, I hope they remember that that is a good ability. It's very potent in a lot of these scenarios. And being able to get rid of Makoa, get rid of an Inara is going to be great. And I'd say watch Khan's ult as it charges up here. 20% already. He's looking, potentially, if there's some defenses here from Flashpoint, to be able to charge that up. They could potentially end this game with an overpower kill coming out as long as he stays as aggressive as he is right now.
100%. it. 2 minutes still available. The barrage comes out, but Freeze God, confused a little bit, actually manages to roll out of the way and make sure that he stays alive. But Aries actually, this time, I'm right, is going to be able to get picked off by Skeppy. They're able to pretty much keep these sides watched on. 1 minute and 45 seconds still remaining with SSG still holding their ground, though. They are not backing up. Skeppy has to come around on the side, but uses the rune almost immediately to make sure he does not go down. Now they're trying to hold their ground, but Legacy's going to go down just as the Midnight comes through.
And it's going to be kills, kills, kills. That's 3 down for Flashpoint. Looking like another one here as SSG are running them down. They're going to start turning this last corner with some success here. 1:20 left on the clock. Respawn's coming through for Flashpoint, but 70% on an overpower. They have an Inflame ready. They're about to have Exiles. This is good setup for SSG.
1 minute and 10 seconds left. Flashpoint have to find some way to get onto it, but the disengaged bolt knocked Legacy off of the side. They can't touch it anymore. Makoa's there, but he's just going to get Commander's grab. They actually just lost purely off of that. Legacy peaked for a split second and got knocked off of the map by Freeze God. Absolutely phenomenal.
Freeze God's good.
Yeah.
I think that's the lesson of that game. Freeze God is good. He does well on Cassie, and I'm excited to see how they're going to do it. Flashpoint,
yeah.
have to figure out what they are going to change around. SSG had themselves on lock. They knew what they wanted. I actually really like the call to shy away from the Barrack and the Inara to go for the Con. It opened up a lot more avenues, I think, for them to counter specifically Flashpoint's playstyle. On the other side, Talus was in the game, and he was absolutely played by somebody.
That's true. I mean, at the same time, though, the Alice felt pretty good because he actually ended up going the Divider talent as well, making sure that Bright Marsh was pretty much all said and done for, just like the game just now. Game 2 already done. SSG up 2-0. Will they be able to close out the set, or can Flashpoint make a comeback? We can only tell right after this break.
I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone in progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone in progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it. Why you be all on my line about nothing? Why won't you go get you $1 or something? Don't hang with it who line for nothing. I see that we different, you riding, I double. I don't do discussions on bragging about hundreds. Don't go to your places, I know that they sunken. Don't call me your brother, I barely could trust it. I talked to a shorty, she bagging the bugging. And I'ma need all of my dollars on corporate, so hand me the money, I divvy the pie. I'ma give all of my people a portion to build them a fortune. I'm flipping the ride. I can't be mixy when iffy the vibe. And 40 on 50 is really the time. Why are you all on my phone like you want me? Like you wasn't pushing the kid to the side. I don't know if you thinking I'm blind. Cross on my crosses and dot on my eyes. Done with your efforts, I'm dealing with pressures. I know it's a lesson, that's word of the wise. Dubbing the mixes, I'm mixing. I know I've been missing. I needed some personal time. All the pictures, dimensions. I know what you digits. I mean it, I'm staying inside. Cause they got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something.
A return to the expected maybe for Flashpoint here as SSG are able to convincingly 4-0 them there on Bright Marsh. Bees, they grabbed the Talus. We were wondering how it would look. Not that it's all on the Talus, but didn't really do much in that one for him.
No, as we said earlier, I think once those boys start taking a more console meta draft, I think it's going to fall apart for them. And I think that's what shows in that one there. We see the kind of Talus picks come through and doesn't really work in their favor.
Yeah.
It's probably the best way to put it.
They held FRZ to a little bit more standard. To be fair, the game wasn't 7 points long, so we didn't have the time frame to put up 20 kills on the board. Still top damage in the game for him, though. Prosper hanging right in there. I mean, you could see moments where Prosper would kind of keep his team in it at 80,000 damage. Maybe you expect that from the Victor. But interestingly enough, we sort of mentioned how Aries and Freeze God can maybe pivot over to the Maeve, one or the other, and I think it's so hard to ban out Freeze because
you don't know what they're going to put him on.
Yeah, he can rotate to whatever it may be. A much better showing for Atlas this time around for Space Station Gaming.
Yeah, they did change players though. They go to Sadhack this time instead of Richau, which I think was definitely the smart play to go with, and they pushed this one significantly easier than the last one.
Yeah, I mean, it's an 8.5, 9 minute 4-0, but I think that Aries had a great showing on the Maeve this time, especially when you consider that, they're kind of maybe trying to push Freeze into this role, and what we just talked about, you're going to pivot the Freeze to the Cassie. give Ares this Mave, and it's a champion that, while his wheelhouse is sort of that consistent hit scan DPS, as you had mentioned in the last draft phase, his ability to be flexible as well is definitely something that's helped SSG out and keep pushing them forward. But kind of opening the desk, a return to expected is kind of how I worded that one. Flashpoint blew us both away sort of in game one. SSG really swing for the fences there on Bright Marsh and get things done. So now maybe for Flashpoint, pivot away from the Talus, try to maybe, I was about to say redo the draft from game one, but I don't know if you want to give them the Makoa Atlas Willow again. I'm still hung up on that one. But depending on the map and what we've got in store for game three, we'll be able to see maybe what Flashpoint have in mind. It is bizarre. It's a little bit of verticality here on this map as well. Yeah,
it's another one up and down map. This is a really good Eevee map here as well. I like Eevee on this, especially SSG with Eevee on this map. They are phenomenal at retouches on this map. If you think you've won the point, if there's an Eevee on the board and you think you've captured the point, I can almost guarantee you that Eevee is getting the retouch.
That is
there you go. There's the answer to that one.
I think as quickly as they've banned Eevee in the rest of this set, that is probably the fastest they could have possibly slotted that one in the moment Bizarre got picked up. Of course, this is Flashpoint pick after losing, or after both teams have gotten their map picks off of the board. Victor Strix seems to be standard for SSG. Victor this time instead of the Vivian, so that's still on the board for Flashpoint. Maeve back to the ban column. Another map, though, I mean, we've seen some Willow here and there on this map. Something that may be used, but as SSG have shown, they're fine putting Freeze God on something that's not a flank. But Flashpoint, they're going to grab Khan with Makoa and Atlas still on the board.
I'm kind of surprised, in truth, that the SSG went for the Victor ban when the Vivian was so much more prolific in the first game than it was. Like the Victor in last round didn't seem to do that much, in my opinion. Whereas if you look at the first game, the Vivian absolutely shredded. So I'm kind of shocked to see these bans coming out. The Strix ban is always going to be good because Strix is just a phenomenal character on this map, especially. But then at the same time, getting rid of these two characters does still leave them the opening for the Willow. They're just going to take the Vivian away from them themselves. That's going to work just as well.
Yeah, effectively banning it. You're just going to pick it up for yourself as well. I think that's a strong pick for Ares. Get him on something comfortable there. Makoa as well, snagged for them. So Atlas still on the board for Flashpoint. The Khan-Atlas combo has been potent. Flashpoint maybe now pivoting over to the Willow.
I think Flashpoint kind of gave something away in the first round, though, that they don't really want the Atlas. So from that alone, SSG can just take from the fact and say, listen, we can take the Makoa, we can take the Vivian, which we both want. If they do want the Atlas, we're happy to give it to you because we have the Makoa. It's a fair trade-off. But if Flashpoint goes by their current drafting standards, they're not going to take it. So this could essentially leave SSG for an Atlas last pick, almost.
Yeah, if it's sort of what they're opting for later on in the draft, it could definitely still potentially be there. Flashpoint thinking hard about it, diving into that bank time, and Willow is the only thing being hovered here, not locked in just yet. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, that's where SSG pivoted on Shattered Desert. The Eevee and the Maeve got banned away. It was the Willow for them there, so Flashpoint can kind of reverse. SSG pick the Vivian away. Maybe Flashpoint choose to pick the Willow away. Could be the Leon.
And the Leon. This is actually really smart. If they take the Willow with pretty much most of the damage champions that counter the Willow already taken, whilst SSG only have a Vivian, the Willow could be really free, especially in ulti. She's not going to have the type of targets that are going to take her down. We've already seen the Khan on the enemy scene in Flashpoint, the Leon. They're really good against Willow, so it's going to be interesting to see what SSG take now to try and counter out this Willow. Pushing further. I would say two champions that I wouldn't say do very well against Willow coming out here now.
Is there a world where triple frontline is on the board for SSG here? Does that make any sort of sense? Because there's still a decent frontline pool with Atlas one more time being foregone. Atlas will be on the board here for SSG. Does that have the makings maybe of a triple frontline?
The Atlas,
they're assuming not.
Kanissa, that'll do the job. That'll do the job of swatting out the Willow. There we go. But the Atlas would have been good as well because of his long-range DPS that he does. He actually does hit significantly hard against Willow. But off the table now with the Kanissa coming through. This is actually a really good pickup as well for SSG.
Agreed.
Flashpoint have semi-good push power with the Khan into the Willow, but the Lian's not going to want to push too hard. Neither is the Inara or the Furia. So as long as they SSG create enough space for their Kanissa, she's going to have a lot of free damage now.
Well, I know we have Gore down in the caster booth, and he is hoping that it's Freeze God on the Kinessa. I hope the same too. Let's see if they can do it in 3 and go down to your casters.
Yeah, good thing only Gore's here, right, Dave? And
No,
not
I'm
me
the
as
one.
well.
I'm the one hoping Kinessa is on Freeze and not Ares. That's what he was getting at. And he got. You know what? He did my job for me. I guess I'm just out of here.
All right. Oh, okay, he's gone. Hi guys. Well, I mean, the draft's looking pretty good so far. I mean, Flashpoint's here. It's just me, Fawn. That's it.
No, Fawn. I'm
Oh,
still
okay.
here.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah. Well, I've.
Well, I mean, okay. The illusion's
I
broken.
ascended past my physical form, and I am now just a voice that sometimes is correct about some things, but not always, and most of the time not.
Oh no, Gore, I don't
Now,
believe that's true
what
at
you
all.
have to do is figure out which. I don't like. I've lost myself already, so good luck keeping track of that.
5 seconds remaining, but still pretty good for them. Eagle Eye, actually, I'm sure. I would hope he was actually going to try and switch that. I mean, that's unless he's that confident, which I can completely understand that. I mean, I like the Eagle Eye.
I like Eagle Eye. I don't know if I like it for specifically
Right.
Willow counter.
Right.
I think Steady Aim's going to give you a little bit more concise damage against her, but if you're feeling confident, you're feeling confident. You never know what you're going to be feeling there. It's also going to be interesting to see how they do it. And of course, yeah, I like Ares on Vivian. Looks good. Skeppy over here has his work cut out for him on this Willow.
Yeah, I mean, 36% though for SSG. I mean, they're just building the percentage right now. I mean, they are literally just. I mean, at Flashpoint have not stepped on the point yet to try and stop it at all, and this is just building. I mean, they are watching all sorts of angles right now, and FRZ once again on the Kinessa, just finding so many opportunities. They got rid of Luna. Now they're able to step on the point and try and fight back.
And honestly, I'm going to call out Mitau for this. You should have moved Luna by then. Like, just call her over to avoid the cooldown. It's going to be ridiculous to deal with that. They're going to get a lot of free percentage just because you didn't move her off healer, move her back on. But at the same time, maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's focused on something else on the side, trying to keep your tanks healthy, or, you know, give Freeze God an opportunity to shine.
Oh my goodness, shine, he will. With amazing shots already from him. He's able to get that kill on a Skeppy, and they're able to pick up a kill onto Legacy because of that. Rachao with a double of his own. Now Luna's back on the point, capturing it at a triple for Rachao. That's already to start off this match. Pre-3 minutes, and SSG have a point and no deaths, but 4 kills to 1 person.
Now, say it with me.
Yeah.
Rachao is good at Barrack. I want everyone to remember that. That is a stat that is going to be true. It was true a year ago. It's going to be true a year from now. Rachao is good, unless Barrack gets nerfed at the ground. In which case, he'll still be good at Barrack. Barrack just won't be good. Either way, it'll be interesting to see how the flow of that game goes. He's going to get taken down here. Forces an overpower. He'll take that every day. They're already 60% of the way, and they've only moved 40 seconds.
Good Lad's going to have to rotate around, or at least is trying to. They actually get rid of Mitau because of that, but they use the Inflame as well. Freeze God is still set up. They are not giving up any space unless they will now. I mean, Ares was the one that ended up going down right there. They're going to have to back off. They've got 1 minute and 35 still left. They have Ancient Rage. They've got the Sentinels and Be Gone, as well as them almost having that, oh my gosh, that Kinessa ultimate, but he just immediately opens up the door for his team to come back. FRZ with an opening kill on Storm Avatar.
Holding a great angle as well. There are a few places where Kinessa is going to feel kind of useless on this map, and it's in this particular area that it can start to fall apart unless he can find a really good angle. Ares staying alive by the skin of his teeth there and gets the kill thanks to his team. This is looking good for SSG.
Yeah, he's dashing in almost instantly. 1 minute still left. They get rid of Good Lad, and now the ceilings get thrown out. But SSG are steamrolling. They have the momentum. And if you would have doubted it, at this point, they are looking extremely good. They have to convert their resources onto FRZ, but he's just going to back off. Now those shots are missing, and FRZ still in a good spot. D takes care of Skeppy. Mitau gets taken care of because of a good flank for Prosper Logic, but an even better hook and an even better kill onto him are going to leave them really, really shook, especially with an opening ultimate from FRZ.
You're going to be able to, so far, find 1 kill. You have Sadak incredibly low, looking like he might go down here. A couple of good shots in return.
Nice. Okay.
They still get Legacy, but they lose their Makoa. The payload's incredibly close. They might be starting to lose a little bit of this presence. They have a tank, they have a healer. Well, and they have a dream behind them for SSG. You can convert this one still. as you're starting to get everybody going. Good Begon here could even set the stage.
That's 100% true, but to set the stage even more would be a good kill onto their support, and that's what FRZ can provide. They drop Luna directly onto the point just as Rachel was dying to make sure they still have that contest available for him. Overtime is ticking down, though. Luna's going to go down. Somebody has to touch unless they actually don't want to. The wall goes up, but Sadak is actually committing. The healing from Io is going to keep him alive for a little bit longer, but he's still going to go down. This is going to allow Flashpoint to realize, okay, we were able to defend. What can we do better coming to this next round?
That was a good stagger from Flashpoint. I think good awareness onto who should go down when. Getting rid of Rachel as early as they did made it difficult. Sadok's not been in a position pretty much this game to take over for Rachel. Although Rachel kind of took over for him earlier with the 4 kills that he was able to find. I think it was 1, wait a little bit, and then a triple kill that came through for him. Insanely good play for what you would want out of your front line. And if he's doing that, he's 6-2-2. You got a 7-1-5 Knessa on that team as well. You got to reassess your priorities if you're Flashpoint.
100%. I mean, you got 1-1 already. And Bulldozer 3 on Legacy side. That prioritization is absolutely insane for Luna. But once again, I mean, the items are pretty spread out so far. I mean, is that the only thing that would stand out to you, though, Gore? Would it be the Bulldozer?
I mean, at level 3, it does kind of stand out because they've invested a lot into one person. If Legacy's not there to deal with Luna, no one is. And so they're still going to be able to get a lot of percentage.
Gosh, they'll be able to kill the good lad, though, immediately. They're able to take care of him. He's looking for a Legacy. They do find it. Freeze God reloads and now swap targets onto Prosper. He gets taken care of. Ares gets the last hit, though, and they are in such a good position with Luna, once again, still sitting on the point. They're able to move forward and do what they need to be able to capture the point again.
I mean, sitting at 75% to 6 on the other side. We're going to need a really big Faith Flight. Skeppy's going to go up into the air for it, and he's looking for something long range.
Ooh.
Finds the shots, gets rid of Freeze.
Nice, he's going to be able to take him down just as the ultimate from the Knessa was popped. They get a good seismic crash as well. Multiple stuns and multiple kills for Skeppy, a double. He might actually be able to just clean up the rest of it by making sure that retrial is done. So is Sadak. They now have percentage over the point and control as well. 42% to 96, stopping SSG right at the potential finish line for a point capture.
They have to hold on to it. That's the biggest thing. It's 1-1. SSG are poised to come back into this one. Freeze God dismounted pretty far back, and Rachel stunned out, it looked like, down there. And a nice overpower to grab the sniper and get rid of that pressure.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get rid of him, and I believe they're actually going to be able to capture the point as well. The Be Gone immediately, pushing him all the way back around the point, just trying to peel for himself. And Sadak not able to touch, really. 2-1. Flashpoint has the favor right now. They are the ones with the point lead, able to break that tie as well. Sadak, Midtown, both of them gone. SSG, though, are looking really, really good so far. Still, even though they just ended up losing that point fight.
A lot of good coming down from Skeppy in that round. It's been kind of quiet overall from Prosper, at least as of right now, but this Willow hitting every mark that you need her to. And as long as they keep Freeze God on lock, they don't worry too much about where Skeppy is going to be going. He's been up in the air several times, and they're dealing with the Makoa, no problem. They're dealing with the healer, the Vivian, the Barret, all without issue. It really does come down to where is the sniper and how much impact does she have.
Tao and Rachel are both gone. Ares is going to be the next one to fall. 1:35 still left. FRZ with a good shot on the Prosper, but he's going to be healed right back up. Was not enough to kill despite that. And you've got 1:30 still available. Another good headshot directly on the Prosper. Headhunter actually gets used. Luna gets dropped as well to be able to contest. And the shots are coming through. Nice headshot on the Prosper Logic. He's going to be able to die in that case for FRZ. Now they're able to swap targets. FRZ, another kill, another good shot to the back, and you're already taking care of Flashpoint. But they still have plenty of time. They've got 1:05 still left. 3 ultimates up for them, 2 ultimates up for SSG.
There's a minute left, and about 20% of the distance that needs to be made here for Flashpoint. They can definitely get in for overtime. In fact, they should have 2 fights in them unless things go drastically awry. Sentinel's ready to be popped, some ults ready on the side of SSG, but this is a good time to recharge. Even if it goes in, you know, Flashpoint can't win. You just have to hold your own going into the next round.
100%, my friend. 35 seconds, too. That's not a lot of time for Flashpoint to be able to make it back, but just enough for them to try and find their footing. But a good hook on the Legacy is going to make that retouch a lot harder, especially when they're covering so many different angles. They throw the Sentry drone out, of course, to be able to watch, or the Trip Mine, I believe, is going to be able to try and dismount anyone who's around there, but they're just holding their ground so well. It's hard for a Flashpoint to find their opening.
Good angles from Freeze God. Good angles from Ares. Both of them holding pretty much exactly where you need to. Ares covering the weak points for the Kinessa. Kinessa really taking control of the strong, long line of sight she can get. And, well, when you're hitting headshots, it's going to be a big ringer. They're going to need a little bit more out of that. They're holding Flashpoint at bay, but so far it's still overtime.
Prosper Logic right around this corner. Good angle on him too. Shoutouts to him for just positioning really well and firing at Rachel, keeping that pressure on, making it hard for him to move from around that corner. But an even better shot from Freeze God. Followed that up with a nice shot from the dock. And now you have the point defended successfully. The payload has been defended. You've got a 2-2 tie already between Flashpoint and against Flashpoint and SSG. Now it's a matter of who can break that tie, making it a 3-2.
You're going to have to do a lot, well, mainly to stop this from happening. This was very big. Skeppy getting Freeze God first with that volley was incredible for them, allowed him to get aggressive. Legacy got 1 kill on Rachel, but Skeppy picked up the other 3 in the process. So Fate Flight's available. So is Headhunter. Ares is going to maybe need to back him up a little bit, but as long as Freeze God, 12-3, has just a little bit of wiggle room, I think Skeppy's going to have some trouble getting up into the air and feeling safe.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. They've got 4 ultimates. Well, really 5 on Flashpoint side. All 10 ultimates available and in the game right now. Luna gets dropped off point immediately. And the end play is what they are going to use to start things off with Rachel, making sure that he's firing directly down at Skeppy. Skeppy firing up, trying to get that advantage onto him, but still, the shots are still coming out for Rachel. The dead zone gets dropped, but still, he's able to make sure that he can get away from that. FRZ is in such a good spot and was able to get an even better kill onto Good Lad. Really, oh my goodness, a nice headshot. Boom goes the gun. Dead drops the Prosper Logic. 87% for SSG. Another good shot from FRZ, and you have a potential point capture with overtime still a factor. Storm Avatar and Legacy are done. Now they have to focus attention on Skeppy, but Skeppy, nice, be gone, and it kills. Nice job from Midtown. They're being able to focus on Prosper Logic. He gets a kill on Ares, refunds that 50%, but you won't be able to refund that point capture that SSG just got.
I mean, doing incredibly well, a great be gone like you pointed out. But also just playing well from top to bottom there. SSG on set point. If they can convert this one, find themselves a full-on win. And I'm telling you, the thing I'm looking at that's been most successful for Flashpoint out of all of their champions, it's been the Fury. I mean, yesterday, their first set, they ended with a 6.8 KDA on her. So you're looking at that playing not only a huge factor, but Inflame being part of the reason they've stabilized so well against SSG. It's at 70% right now. It's going to come up one more time. Might give them a chance for a defense.
Legacy is the one that gets picked off first, and now Ares is able to even things up with a double kill for himself. Ceilings get thrown out. Luna still gets dropped off point. 1 minute and 40 still left. We're looking at Good Lad. He's going to go down next, and that's already looking good for SSG.
93% still ticking forward. 1.5 minutes left. They might not need it at this rate. No one's taking them down.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Legacy goes down again after just having come back and a headshot through the gate for FRZ to end it for SSG. A 3-1. Man, oh man. I was talking about how there was potential that maybe he was feeling a little bit confident with taking, the headshot talent. Definitely feeling confident. I mean, the amount of damage he was able to score, absolutely insane for FRZ.
I think there's a lot of merits to this set that we saw out of Flashpoint. They're not someone to scoff at. I mean, they pushed them to 3-3 on the first map. They take a couple points there on the last one as well. But I am noticing some things that might make it easier if you're a team going through. They're going down to the losers bracket now. But hey, Furia has been kind of essential to them in their victories as of right now. Maybe change that up. Change a little more, widen their stance, and they might start hitting a little more out of the park instead of keeping it close. Finding some maps in these sets. Of course, we're going to have to wait for their opponent through one of the other lower bracket matches, but could be a console rematch. More than likely going to be facing probably one of these ML, PPL, whoever ends up down there. PC teams is the easier way to just put it, that they're going to be more than likely waiting on down there.
Yeah, I mean, of course, good showing from Flashpoint, too. I mean, they were able to keep a lot of things close. However, SSG already taking that win and the set. We're going to toss it right back to the desk and see what they think.
Congrats to SSG for pulling out the win here in the first round of the Paladins World Championship Qualifier Week. That's a mouthful. In Flashpoint, they drop down. They move on to the losers round 2. They await the winner of All Business and Cyclone tomorrow. So make sure to keep your eyes on the stream and see how that one plays out. But at the end of the day, Bees, SSG are able to grab themselves the win. And this is maybe what we expected coming into this matchup.
Yeah, it kind of it started a little bit shaky on my predictions, and then it kind of slid into more what I thought was going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah, the Willow, they gave it a try on Flashpoint. And there were some moments where Skeppy made the Willow look pretty good, but there are these small moments, and we talked about kind of the difference between controller and mouse and keyboard, but these small moments, maybe a missed shot here, a missed shot there, kind of hard to track different champions. And honestly, if you remove even that, I think Flashpoint are a very good Paladins team, but SSG are really in that top tier. I think their decision-making, their play, the way they communicate with one another is really at the top, and that helps them grab the win here. Great slash lines for all of them. Freeze God pivots to the Kinessa. You figured it'd be good, and it certainly was.
Yeah, definitely a fantastic one for shutting down the Willow. You definitely see on the perspective when you change from the console Willow to the PC Willow, how much more freedom the PC players had when they were on this champion, how much more they were able to push in, and especially when even your support player gets to do things like this. This was such a phenomenal play. This one actually left us a little bit speechless in the back room here.
I couldn't believe it. He's over here shooting this guy, and then...
Yeet.
That's pretty great.
Phenomenal.
Send Skeppy up to the sky. You'd think that's where you want to be on a Willow, but not quite that high up.
Normally it's your ult that puts you up there.
Yeah, right. When it's your ult that keeps you beneath the skybox, you're happy. Not there in that guy. I've never seen that. Every once in a while, and that was kind of the talk early on with IO, is like, we want to see some Begons have really big impacts. If nothing else, it kind of pushes off some people from contesting here and there. But Mitao shows us it can be used to grab some kills as well. SSG, they snagged themselves the big 3-0 win, move on to the next round. I'm sure they're feeling good, but don't take my word for it. Here's an interview.
Well, congratulations, guys. A 3-0. And as always, anytime I interview, I'm going to have to ask the hard one first. What happened on Shattered to make it a 3-3? I mean, you guys looked like you were in pretty decent control, a very solid draft. Where did things go wrong?
I think sometimes we start a little bit like not SSG, So sometimes we need just to warm up and be more focused because I told them we can't underestimate a console team because they're pretty good as well. So we needed some time, some conversation, and after that was fine.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up the fact of a little bit of a difference that we saw. It was the Talus. I mean, console has definitely a heart out for the Talus. They love being able to pick that character. How did you guys feel? Did you guys feel a lot of pressure coming out from that Talus? Were you guys worried at all when you saw it drafted on Bright Mars?
I mean, not really. It was basically, where is Talus? He's right. Okay, he's gonna put pressure, and he was dead. Basically, that's it. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of my memories for SSG are making runs through the lower bracket, like losing one of the first two and then making that long run towards the top. Are you guys trying to stay up as long as you can this time around?
What do you mean? We're going to win every match.
Every match?
Yes.
So I guess that's, coming into it, you get Flashpoint today, and as you mentioned, very, very strong team, and you avoid getting knocked down, but do you think there's a little merit to being in that lower bracket, maybe kind of putting the stress on, like we cannot lose another set?
I mean, we have to qualify. There's no other reason, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to win no matter what.
Win no matter what. And so looking at today, quick 3-0, you don't quite know who your opponents are going to be yet, but looking forward, you have Knights going up against another console team. Who do you think is going to win that one?
It's going to be an interesting one because we made the homework and we had some practice against Hype Unit's console team, and they're pretty good. So also Knights is playing really well, so it's going to be interesting. I want to watch that match.
It's also been an interesting land for you specifically coming in as the top seed for this one. Most of the time you've qualified, I mean, I guess in the past, PGS from Brazil, playing against insert whatever other Brazilian teams have been kind of competing with you there. How does it feel maybe having that big of a target on your back this time around?
I don't think it matters really much because before we didn't have that much pressure, but we're experiencing, so we can hold this pressure right now. We're one of the big ones, so we just have to qualify no matter what. We're gonna qualify.
Well, you got a 3-0. You're starting off pretty strong here for this land, so congratulations on that. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.